All we ever wanted was the perfect family. We wanted to have several kids, and we just assumed that that was God's will for our lives. But after several miscarriages, we realized maybe this isn't part of God's plan. So when Matthew finally came along, we named him that because it means gift from God. But little did we know the journey that we were about to be on would be very different from the plan that we had. He was born with a large head and low muscle tone, so he already looked different. He had a hard time lifting his head off the floor. He couldn't crawl. He was 2 years old before he could walk. And you try to shelter your child, you try to feel like everything's normal, but we realized something was different.
And now he's the Matthew today who's 19 and loves Superman and Batman and Thomas the Train. Not your typical 19-year-old, but he is our little gift from God.
Yep, I gotta go.
He's a great kid outside with friends, teachers, therapists. None of them know that he has his moments. But when we close the door and we're home, or when it's just our family out and about, we're on edge.
Matthew can be exhausting. From the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed, it is constant verbalization. Every 30 seconds. There's no off button with Matthew.
It was about when Matthew was 5 years old and we had Julia. And that's about when the behaviors started to come in. Meltdowns, temper tantrums. He's put holes in the wall, the door, he throws toys. So we've had to really shield her from his behaviors, and that's been difficult, especially for her.
Even though there's hard times with Matthew, God is working in our lives. There's a humbleness and simplicity of Matthew. And that humbleness and simplicity of Matthew really exemplifies being a child of God, right? As of kind of what we are called to be, children of God. And he just puts it in perspective every day for us.
I think sometimes we get overwhelmed thinking about what Matthew's future holds and what our future holds. But God brings people into our lives that give us a glimpse of hope.
We were invited to go to Church of the Commons earlier this year. Margo's got the iPad set up for him to watch. Julia and I are praise and worshiping, and then we'll switch off.
It got to the point where we would just take turns going to church. It wasn't worth taking Matthew because one of us couldn't pay attention.
We love the message, love the worship, but it was only filling half the cup. A couple weeks go by, and sure enough, I'm reading the Church of the Commons newsletter, and down there, halfway down, it says, yes, we're going to start a special needs ministry. And tears began to fall from my eyes.
Oh, that's Tim.
Where's Tim?
That one.
I don't see him today.
So the next time we get to Church of the Commons, Maggie, the director of the children's ministry, is there waiting for Matthew. And Matthew was ecstatic. And we were ecstatic too to have an opportunity to listen and enjoy a service.
How are you guys? Good to see you. How are you doing?
But it's also allowed Matthew to thrive, where he's just not sitting in the back row with a lollipop in his mouth.
He's in charge of the treasure box, so he gives little kids their trinkets and absolutely loves, because he feels like it's his ministry now. He has a purpose there.
Can I help you put the chairs up?
And so because his cup is being filled, so is ours, right? And that also allows us to pour into Julia as well. Every person that walks in the door of Church of the Commons has, call them issues, or their bag over their shoulder. For us, maybe it's the hardship of Matthew, but everybody sitting in the congregation has something going on in their life. And one of the beauties of Church of the Commons is that it is a movement for all people that are coming through the doors, like Matthew, like the Kraghs.
We've been able to see Matthew thrive in a way that we just did not think was possible. God is clearly doing something at Church of the Commons, and our story is just one of many.